challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. President, I commend you for maintaining this trajectory of presenting the annual budget estimates before the joint sitting of the National Assembly in good time.
Senate President commends President Buhari for keeping faith with the January to December budget tenure.
Over the years, unjustly denied the people of Nsukka South.
And Senate makes case for the restoration of some constituencies to the nation's electoral system. Hello and welcome to Inside the Senate. President Muhammadu Buhari last week presented the 2022 budget before the National Assembly, a move that Senate President Ahmad Lawan commended because of the adherence to the January-December budget cycle. Details of the presentation and highlights of the budget are contained in this episode of the program. We also have other reports of proceedings during plenary highlighting motions, bills as well as committee activities. I am Hussaina Amina Abuki. Please stay tuned for the full program after the break.
The Senate to send a message to the President
to reap opportunities from that.
Raise a matter of urgent public importance, and we are aware that when this particular motion comes up
for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Welcome back. Plenary for Tuesday, the 5th of October 2021 took off with the Deputy Senate President who presided over plenary that day, reading a letter from President Muhammadu Buhari seeking Senate consideration and approval of a revised 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, and fiscal strategy paper, FSP.
The revision was necessitated by the need to reflect the new fiscal terms in the Petroleum Industrial PIA 2021, as well as other critical expenditures in the 2022 budget.
Some other reasons for the revision include decrease in gross revenue projection by 341.57 billion naira from 8.87 trillion naira to 8.52 trillion naira. Decrease in deductions for federally funded project cost and 13% derivation by 335.3 billion naira and 810.2 million naira respectively. Declination of net oil and gas revenue projection by 5.42 billion naira from 6.50 trillion naira to 6.535 trillion naira, as well as projected declination in net oil and gas revenue by 5.42 billion naira. The request was referred to the Committee on Finance, which worked on it and presented its report on Wednesday, the 6th of October 2021, with the following recommendations.
That the aggregate expenditure of 16.39 trillion be approved. 2. That the return revenue of 10.3 trillion be approved. 3. That the fiscal deficit of 635.4 billion be approved.
He added that some MDAs, following pressure from the committee, were able to remit revenues generated amounting to 400 billion naira into the federal government coffers with a view to narrowing the deficit gap. Senate President Ahmad Lawan commented on this.
What this means is a revelation that many of these MDS have been cornering funds that ordinarily should have gone to the treasury. So we should not be content with only 400 billion naira, but we must insist that it goes beyond the 400 billion naira.
The committee's recommendations, amongst others, were adopted, as a result of which the parameters of the 2022 budget were subsequently approved. This laid the background for the presentation of the 2022 budget proposal to a joint session of the National Assembly on Thursday, the 7th of July 2021.
Representatives
In a welcome address, Senate President Ahmad Lawan commended President Muhammadu Buhari for keeping faith with the January to December budget tenure, which he said has benefited Nigerians a lot.
Mr. President, I commend you for maintaining this trajectory of presenting the annual budget estimates before the joint sitting of the National Assembly in good time. The Nigerian economy and indeed our citizens are benefiting from the early passage and assent to the 2020 and 2021 appropriation bills now acts.
He then spoke on the need to prioritize the completion of ongoing projects while also commending the federal government for actions taken to overhaul the nation's security architecture.
It is imperative that we prioritize the completion of ongoing projects on the development of infrastructure in our country. The 2022 budget should target at completion and consolidation of the projects already started. The recent changes in the leadership of the armed forces is a clear testimony of the collaboration between the legislature and the executive to overhaul the security architecture for better outcomes in our fight against the myriads of security challenges.
It is my great pleasure to be here once again to present the 2022.
On his part, President Muhammadu Buhari gave an insight into what the 2022 budget proposal would target.
Diversifying the economy with robust MSME growth. B. Investing in critical infrastructure. C. Strengthening security and ensuring good governance. The 2022 budget is also the first in our history where MDAs were clearly advised on gender-responsive budgeting.
One of the major concerns of some Nigerians is the government resorting to borrowing to finance budget deficits. President Buhari responded to this.
They are right to be concerned. However, we believe that the debt level of the federal government is still within sustainable limits. Borrowing at specific strategic projects and can be verified publicly. As we are aware, we have witnessed 2 economic recessions within the period of this administration. In both cases, we had to spend our way out of recession, which necessitated a resort to growing the public debt. It is unlikely that our recovery from each of the 2 recessions would have grown as fast without the sustained government expenditure funded by debt.
He also commended the National Assembly for the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill and expressed optimism at its full implementation. He then gave a breakdown of the budget as follows. Total budget, 16.39 trillion naira. Capital expenditure stands at 5.35 trillion naira as against last year's 3.85 trillion naira. Personnel costs stand at 4.1 trillion naira as against last year's 5.35 trillion naira. Non-debt recurrent expenditure 6.8 trillion naira as against last year's 5.65 trillion naira. Overhead costs 792.39 billion naira as against last year's 625.50 billion naira. Debt service 3.6 trillion naira as against last year's 3.12 trillion naira. He added that the budget is predicated on the following parameters: exchange rate 415.15 naira per dollar, oil benchmark $57 per barrel, oil production 1.88 million barrels per day, and projection for GDP growth 4.2%. At the end of the exercise, President Muhammadu Buhari disclosed that the budget is designed to meet the economic sustainability plan of the federal government as well as to promote economic diversification amongst other things.
Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In a vote of thanks, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila expressed the commitment of the National Assembly to consider and pass the budget as soon as possible, while also soliciting the cooperation of heads of MDAs in defending their budget proposals.
I am confident that the National Assembly will give the appropriation bill the prompt consideration it demands. And for the next 2 to 3 months, will be for the strictest scrutiny of the budget estimates. Let me also use this opportunity to say to the heads of ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government of Nigeria that the determination of the National Assembly to deliver a timely budget will not derogate from our responsibility to ensure exhaustive consideration of the bill, and we will take steps to hold to account those who fail to provide the records we need to make informed decisions on the appropriation bill.
Highlight of the event was the laying of the budget document by President Muhammadu Buhari. At the end of the presentation, senators commented on the outlook of the 2022 budget.
He said all the right things. He said things that I wanted to hear. The problem has always been in implementation, and we hope that those that are going to be involved in charge of implementation will be able to carry out the president's vision.
I consider this budget to be a budget of hope, and if we will be able to execute whatever is there, then there is that light at the end of the tunnel for this country.
My advice would be that let's look at this budget and look at issues that will touch the lives of the ordinary people and eradicate hunger, address the issue of security at this very critical time. And in doing so, we must learn to make sacrifices as a people, as a nation, as those in authority, to ensure that this budget is driven towards the benefit of the ordinary man.
The president has said it, that the deficit will be financed through internal and external borrowing, and while some also will be financed through privatization and the balance with multilateral and bilateral project-tied loans. So I want to strongly believe that it's the right step in the right direction, and we should be hopeful and that there is growth.
The president specifically mentioned that this budget is going to be focused on national security and internal security, which is where the most important thing now, when the country is facing a lot of challenges in terms of security, banditry, kidnapping, and other security vices.
Let's now take a break to open the Senate notebook. Please stay tuned.
A joint session of the National Assembly is when the entire senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and honorable members of the House of Representatives sit together in the chamber of the House to be addressed by a national or an international dignitary on a subject matter. At the national level, it could be the president addressing the joint session, national budget of a given year, or on any other matter as the case may be, while at the international level, it could be the president of another country. In the case of the presentation of the budget of a given year by Mr. President, the budget is deemed to have been read the first time immediately it is presented. A joint session may also hold to receive a foreign president, head of state, or the head of a parliament of another country.
The only way out of the pandemic is for the population to observe the recommended measures advised by the NCDC, the Senate Committees on Health and Primary Health Care and Communicable Diseases will continue to engage with the Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19.
You are watching Inside the Senate. Earlier on the program, we brought you details of the passing of the revised MTEF and FSP by the Senate, as well as the joint sitting by both houses to receive the budget from the President. The program continues with other deliberations from the National Assembly. Wednesday, the 6th of October 2021, several bills were presented for second reading, with one of them seeking the establishment of an eye center in Ochadamu in Kogi State. It was titled Federal Eye Center Ochadamu, Kogi State Establishment Bill 2021 and sponsored by Senator Issa Jibrin Echocho. In his lead debate, Senator Issa Jibrin Echocho disclosed that the hospital, when established, will take over the staff, assets and liabilities of the existing Holy Memorial Hospital in Ochadamu.
The proposed center will afford an opportunity for early detection and treatment for eye conditions, including age-related macular degeneration, which is important and cost-effective. Visual screening and eye exams can help detect these eye diseases while they are still treatable, ultimately stopping or avoiding vision loss.
One contribution was taken on the bill, as a result of which it passed second reading and referred to the Committee on Tertiary Health to report back in 4 weeks. Also, a bill titled Federal College of Education Idare Ondo State Establishment Bill 2021 and sponsored by Senator Ayo Akinyelure was presented for second reading Tuesday the 5th of October 2021. According to the sponsor, it is to, amongst other things, complement the 93 colleges of education in Nigeria.
These numbers, to me, is grossly inadequate for a country with over 200 million people. The need, Mr. President, for a College of Education in Idare, Ondo State, whose sole objective will be to serve as training institution for the development of teachers' education in the country, cannot be overemphasized. Idare is a local government area and historic town in the federal constituency of Ondo State Central District. The establishment of the Federal College of Education in Idare, Ondo Central will go a long way in facilitating development in the district, Ondo State, and Nigeria in general.
The bill scaled second reading and referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education to report back in 4 weeks. Amongst other issues brought before the Senate same day was a request for Senate intervention for the restoration of Yamaso State constituency in Buruku local government area of Benue State. In a motion titled Need to Restore Yamaso State Constituency of Benue State, the sponsor, Senator Emmanuel Okejev, alleged that the constituency, which produced members into the Benue State House of Assembly under the 1999 Constitution as amended, has been excluded by INEC from election processes since 1998.
From 1998 to date, over 22 years, the INEC has continued to suppress the Yamaso State constituencies and other 65 constituencies across 19 states of the Federation. But the people of Buruku have remained excluded and underrepresented as a result of this unconstitutional suppression of Yamaso State constituency.
Next was a similar motion, this time seeking Senate concurrence with the court ruling for approval for the restoration of the suppressed Nsukka South State constituency, Enugu State, in compliance with the decision of the Federal High Court was considered. The sponsor, Senator Utazi Chukwuka, spoke on what the delay in complying with the court ruling is causing the constituents.
The delay in complying with the order of the Federal High Court in the matter already referred on the restoration of Nsukka State constituency from Enugu East State constituency of Enugu State is a serious constitutional aberration against the spirit of Section 91 and 115 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and has over the years unjustly denied the people of Nsukka South their due representation in the Enugu State House of Assembly.
Due to the similarity of the two motions, debate on them was concurrent, with the lawmakers suggesting ways out of the challenge.
I could remember, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President of the Senate, that about 22 years ago, that is precisely 1998, was the last year where this delineation of federal constituencies was done. And I believe that one of these local governments in Nsukka South and then Yamaso State constituencies were part of those that were not created, and about 65 other constituencies across the nation.
I believe the issues are straightforward, and there are things that should be squarely at the doorstep of INEC.
There's some here that deals with court judgment, and there are others here without court judgment. I think with respect to the ones without the court judgment is very, very, very straightforward. We'll be urging as a prayer INEC, to carry out its constitutional obligations.
And so, the following resolutions were adopted in respect of the two motions as follows. Urged INEC to restore Yamaso State constituency in compliance with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended, as well as approved the restoration of Nsukka South State Constituency from Nsukka East State Constituency as ordered by the Federal High Court. Welcome back. Outside the National Assembly, the Committee on Science and Technology was on oversight duty at the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NATOP, in Abuja. This was Wednesday, the 6th of October 2021.
And members of the Science and Technology family.
In a welcome address, the Director General of NATOP, Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim, disclosed their mandate as not only to regulate technologies in Nigeria, but also to encourage its development locally. He, however, noted that even while the agency is doing its best to achieve this mandate, it is confronted with challenges in the various sources of technologies like the education sector and research establishments.
Like any other sector, the educational sector is not really funded, and research and development is most affected. The funding is weak, and research and development gets very little attention. So as part of their strategy to survive in the university system, most of our lecturers, our researchers undertake what we call basic research to publish papers and get promoted. If you look at the continued number of papers produced by Nigerians at both national and international levels, we are among the highest in Africa, but that doesn't translate into economic development of our system.
Committee Chairman Senator Uche Ekunife, in an address, observed some other key mandates of NATOP as to systematically track inflow of technologies into Nigeria and strategize for their adaptation and domestication to enable positive impact on the nation's economy.
In line with the agency's mandates, the level to which NATOP has progressed in promotion of innovation, patenting of intellectual properties, and commercialization of research and development results are key indices for this evaluation visit. The comparative analysis of 2020 and 2021 budgets of NATOP revealed astronomical increase in budgetary provisions between the 2 years. In 2020, the capital allocation to NATOP was 207 million, in contrast to 1.6 billion in 2021. While the total allocation of the agency in 2020 was 657, as against 2 billion 60 million in 2021.
While commending the agency for its efforts, she advised on the need to explore the various sources of revenue available to it.
Is there any technology we don't import in Nigeria today? Generators, laboratory equipment, scanning, business centers. Now every equipment today we import them. What's your core mandate? That is a revenue generating platform for you, and it is massive, it's huge. Which means your office must partner with the Attorney General of the Federation to achieve all of that.
She also mandated NATOP to establish 6 zonal offices in the geopolitical zones in Nigeria, while some members of the committee gave advice.
If we can translate some of these technologies into commercial ventures, it would help us as a nation.
To have us as a committee under the able leadership of our chairman to give you every necessary support from the National Assembly to ensure that you succeed.
Next on the program is our profile segment. Stand by for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Biodun Olujimi represents Ekiti South Senatorial District under the PDP. She had her early education at Our Ladies of Apostle Ibadan in Oyo State, after which she attended the Nigerian Institute of Journalism, Lagos, for a diploma in journalism, University of Abuja for a Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science, and Michigan University, USA, for a certificate in IT with emphasis on web development. Senator Biodun Olujimi held board and executive positions in the Nigerian Tribune newspapers, the defunct Post and Telecommunications (P&T), NTA, Delta Steel Development Company Alaja, Reflect Concept, as well as DBN Television, amongst others. She began her political career in 1997 and held party positions at different times in parties like the defunct NCPN as well as the PDP. She also held executive positions in Ekiti State, among which was Deputy Governor of the state. She contested as senator in the 2015 general elections and won, serving from 2015 to 2019. She won again in the 2019 general elections, but was denied victory, which she eventually claimed through a court ruling and is still serving. In the Senate, she is a member of several committees. Her legislative interests include education, women and youth development, as well as skills acquisition.
With this, we come to the end of the program. Do send in comments and feedback, as well as follow us on any of our social media platforms on your screen. Join us next week for another edition, and thanks for watching.